Hello, everyone. Thank you guys for coming to the second UXLA workshop. And feel free to chime in anytime during the presentation because a huge part of it is that you guys learn and take something out of it. So feel free to ask questions and also interact because this is a very interactive workshop. So you guys are going to be very hands-on as much as you can be online. Okay. Can you guys see my screen? Good. Okay, cool. And yeah, so you don't need to hold your hand, raise your hand. You can just unmute yourself because I don't think I can see everybody. All right, so today we're gonna go into user experience research. So if you've ever heard of UIUX, it's the UX part, so user experience. And what is user experience research? Okay, so this is my own definition. If you look it up, you'll find a similar one. But basically, it's just a study of putting yourself into a user's shoes. And this is super crucial because you're going to be working with different users. So you have different problems, whether it is maybe an application for a doctor to use, you need to understand how it feels like to be a doctor. Or if you need to build, let's say Spotify, right? You're not going to be tailoring your app to a doctor. You need to learn how to be a user of Spotify. So some questions you might ask are, what are their pain points? What are their needs? And this is a very aesthetically pleasing version. It doesn't have to be like this. The point of it is the content within the actual research, not the actual beauty part. That's where the UI comes in. Okay, so when do you do user research? And this is the flow of design thinking. So basically, design thinking is a process of how to approach creating a product. And whenever you do user research, you can do it at any single step of the way. So whether it is from the very beginning before the product has even been created, all the way to when the product is finished and done and you need user research. So even though let's say companies like Apple are very developed, they're still doing user research with products that are already successful in the market. And that's why each rendition of their apps, of their products are different each time because they're tailoring it to their users.
I have a question.
Yeah.
What happens if a product doesn't use user research? What happens if there's no user research at all in the process?
As in they built it without asking any of the users?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, so you can be really lucky and have a really great product because I don't know, you're just super lucky. But on the other hand, most of the time, you're going to miss something. And I'll give an example of what happens when you don't do it. And you guys will get a better understanding of that. So with user research, just to go into the nitty gritty, the actual technical aspects, you need to understand how to create a user persona, how to create a user journey, web, flow. So these are very different. So journey is basically very similar, I would say, to a flow. Actually, no. Journey is very from the beginning of using the app all the way to being a more advanced person at the application. But a web is kind of all the features of the entire app. So how do you, for Instagram, how do you post a picture? How do you like a picture? How do you look at a story, for example? But a flow is just one step within the web. So instead of having everything all at once with the web, the flow is just how do you upload a picture on Instagram? Yeah. Okay, user testing. So this is where you get your real questions answered. So it comes in the forms of surveys, of prototype interaction, and I'll go into more depth in a little bit. Okay, so Chinmaya kind of hinted at this, but what happens when you fail at not including user experience research in your process? So let's look at opening a door, right? So I'm just gonna ask, please answer. I'm pretty sure you've opened a door at one point in your life, so I know you guys know, but how does opening a door on the left-hand side compare to opening the door on the right? And I can't see anyone's hand, so please unmute.
The right-hand side, it's weird because it's telling you what to do.
Exactly. Anything else you guys notice? The difference is not only in the visual, but also in your experience. Get it? Because experience.
Could you reiterate, is it the handle that's on the right or the left side of the door? Or is it the instruction or something?
Either one, anything that you notice.
Oh, well, like more people are right-handed, so
Yeah.
like naturally people are stronger in their right hand, in their like handed hand. So if the door is heavier, then like they'll have an easier time opening it if they use it with their handed hand. I don't know if that's the way you say it. And then like more people are right-handed, so that's probably why they have it on the right.
Yeah, exactly.
An interesting thing I'm noticing with both of these stores is that like the way they're organized, the handles on the right hand side is kind of going off what Haki's saying. But if you grab it with your right hand and you put like if it's pushing open, that's great. But if it's if the handle's on the right side of the door and you're pulling it open, then you're basically crossing your arm over, and that can like be a little bit obstructive to you actually making your way in. So then you're forced to use your left hand.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
like
okay. Yeah. Anything else? Okay, so I'll just kind of go into it. But for the left-hand side, if I had a key, I could open it. If I didn't have a key, maybe I couldn't open it, right? But the right-hand side clearly doesn't need a key. So this left-hand side requires a second step to open the door. And that's part of the user experience, because maybe if you looked at this door, you would know that this is a door for a restaurant, a door for a Target, a door for, I don't know, some kind of generic public place, right? But then the left-hand side, you would think, oh, this is a door for maybe something more private, my home, your office, right? So the experience is different because you understand the different kind of user. This user may be for somebody who's, you know, a family member, or specifically within a private sector. And the right-hand side is more for like anybody to enter the door. Does that make sense? Cool. Okay, and this is what happens when you don't use user experience. So maybe somebody here was not a human or something, and they didn't understand the human process of opening a door for some reason. And because of that, they failed, obviously, because how can you pull a door that looks like this? If anyone has suggestions, please let me know. But yeah, so this is why user experience research is so, so important. Does anyone have any questions so far? Good. Okay. Is it okay? Is it changing for you guys? Okay, hold on 1 second. 1 second. Sorry about that. Sorry, 1 second, sorry. Okay, feel free to have conversation. I'm just trying to move something because I think my Figma screen is frozen. Okay, now share my screen. Can everyone see this?
I see it. Let's go.
Okay, so how does it compare to buy a product? Well, we're going to go into a bike for Walmart versus Target. So I'm going to go more into the tech side of user experience, right? So I kind of just went into a door. Everyone has gone through using a door, but now how about an online application? So let's say I want to buy a bike, and specifically I want to buy a bike for my younger brother who's like 5 years old, right? So maybe I'd look up bike in Walmart first. So first I look at bike, and then immediately this is what I see, right? So you have like this kind of giant like ad here, and then you have, you know, categories of all bikes, women bikes, etc. And then you can also filter on the left-hand side by bicycle type, delivery, pickup, and then the information here is displayed for each bike. Okay, so now I'm going to do the same for Target. Okay, So now I'm looking at Target, and immediately there's a huge difference. There's no ad. And then you have balance bikes, kids bikes, mountain bikes, and adult bikes. And similarly, there's like a way to kind of filter through everything, right? Okay. Does it say that my sharing is paused? Can you guys see my screen?
I think it's still on the Figma one right now.
Yeah, I still see the buying a bike from Target thingy.
Okay, can you?
Yeah, now we good.
Okay, so, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. Let me do that one more time. So you guys can see a big ad when you guys look up on Walmart, right? Bike. And then from here, you guys can see the different categories. So you have women's bikes, men's bikes, adult bikes, etc. Filtering, and then you have the information for each bike. On the Target website, there's no giant ad. You just have balance bikes, kids bikes, mountain bikes, adult bikes. And you have all of these, bikes here, and then the filtering. So immediately the user experience can seem very similar because it looks so similar, right? You have the categorization and the format is very much the same, but that's because they're very similar companies, right? And they do this purposefully because industry tends to like match each other depending on the sector. But if you go into more of the nitty gritty, you can see that the experience is actually quite different. So let's say I wanted to look for my brother's bike, like I said, Walmart would probably be a ton easier because once I scroll down, it's just boys' bikes there. Now I click it. But then if I go on Target, I have to go through, okay, kids' bikes. Now I'm like, okay, but I also have like boys and girls, but I just want a boy bike. So what do? Do I just now have to scroll to the left? I mean, look at the left and then change it to a boy gender. You see how there's 2 steps in order to do that. And then like the nuances here are very little, but I just wanted to show you that the experience really matters because maybe once I go on Walmart and I see it's a ton easier, I'm not going to go on Target anymore. I'm just like, I'm done. I found my bike that I need on Walmart and that's it. I don't want to go through the process of looking for another bike on Target. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to share my Figma screen. Okay. So just to keep going. Okay, so today, what are we going to learn? And it's the technical aspects, so user persona, user journey web flow, user testing. Okay, with what companies? And if you couldn't guess, Instagram and Spotify because of the logo. Okay, so we're gonna first start off with making a user persona. So this is where I ask anyone out there listening, please interact because this is again for you guys to learn. And if you guys just hear me spewing out the answers, you guys won't take in as much information. All right, let me give you an example. So user persona, here are these sections. We love Kermit, so let's do that. So we all know he's a meme, right? But let's actually really get to know Kermit. Okay, so here are possible components of a persona. These are not like exact, but these are like the major ones you really want to hone in on. So goals. So what does Kermit actually want to do with his life? He wants to be a director of a movie. Okay, I don't know if you guys knew that, but he does. And his background is he's actually acting in a movie. He's in The Muppets, as you can see here. Obviously background would go into more information. Maybe he's 30. I don't know how old he is. Maybe he went to school in this area. He is this background. His ethnicity is frog. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So behaviors, right? So what does Kermit like to do? He likes to work out I thought it was a suit for a second. That's why I was going to say tux.
Yeah, I thought that was a suit too.
Yeah.
Is that a hoodie? I think it's a
Yeah,
drawstring hoodie, huh?
Yeah. So he likes to work out. And what's the difference between behaviors and habits? So behaviors is less important than the habits whenever you're trying to figure out your user persona. Because like, let's say if I were a brand trying to really target the user, if I know Kermit really loves to drink tea, like that's his habit, he drinks tea every day, I know I can get him onto my company to be a loyal customer by, I don't know, giving him free tea because I know that that's his habit. And it sounds like cruel, but it's like part of user experience. If you turn it into a bad thing, it can turn into a bad thing, because really what it is just like really analyzing a person, right? And manipulating what you know about them, taking advantage of who they are. So like, I know it sounds crazy, but like it is what it is. Like that's what companies do. How do you think, they like really get you with those ads? It's with a user persona. And it could be used in a good way. So please use in a good way if you ever become a user researcher. But yeah. And what does he need? Because of his habits, he needs tea, right? You can't drink tea without tea. And his pain points, Kermit's, I don't know, he's sad because his arms don't look as great from his workout, or because he couldn't get jasmine tea that day. And maybe because he couldn't get jasmine tea that day, you can really get him onto your team by giving him jasmine tea. Okay, people? So that Hockey's like, okay, anyways, yeah. So does anyone have any questions about a user persona? Because we're about to test this out, like our expertise. All right, cool. Okay, so I'm going to use an application called Whimsical. This is an industry application. It's free, so feel free to use it for your future projects, because it's probably going to be used in an industry that you might go into. Okay, so in terms of for user persona, I like to use sticky notes. So I'm going to say user persona, and today we'll use Spotify. Okay, so let's kind of practice this. So a really cool thing about this is it's so easy, this application. So you just click right here, add a card, and bam, you have a sticky note. And then you can add a stack, you can add text quickly, and then you can edit your card very fast. But besides the point, okay, so the first section is we want to talk about maybe the background. Okay, so what would be the background of somebody using Spotify?
College student.
Yeah, college student. Good. Anything else? So this
Somebody at
one's a
work.
little bit difficult because it's very broad, but
Somebody at work or working out.
yeah, somebody at work.
Wait. Are we making like 3 or so users and then like drawing out the like stuff for all 3 of them kind of
Yeah,
thing?
I
Is
think,
that word?
yeah, because it's a little bit complicated with Spotify since it's not very niche target. It's not like a very specific one. Yeah.
Should we
So
do like the whole, should we give like a detailed background, like come up with a name and like family and stuff? Or are we just doing like the habits and stuff?
maybe habits.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe habits. But what hockey is going into is like sometimes you get into like a very specific person, and like the narrower your niche is of that person, the easier it is to really target them and get more people like them on. Okay, so just for like simplification, just because I know this is a little bit difficult with so many types of people, let's go into college student because we can relate to that college student, right? Okay, so this college student, tell me about them, their background. So one thing I can say is maybe they're 18 to 22, maybe. Okay. What else do you know about them?
They probably spend a lot of time doing work
Yeah,
and
so that
therefore
would
listening
be,
to music.
yeah, so I would call that a habit, right? So let's do green for habits. Okay, so for habit, they probably listen to music because they study a lot, or they work out, right? That's conditional depending on the college student, but I know it's okay. Okay, and then maybe another thing we can go into is what are their pain points, right? I know you guys are going through one right now. So what's your pain point, guys?
They have no idea what they want to listen to, or like they don't know the artist that they don't know. They don't even know where to start looking for new music.
Yeah, issue with finding new music.
Also, like price, probably.
Yeah, price for music, exactly.
Wait, you guys here are all college students who presumably listen to Spotify. Do you have any pain points related to Spotify or music listening? If so, please
Or in
unmute.
general in your life.
Also true.
We're getting deep. over here.
You can also be like really overwhelmed when you find like a new artist and it's just like content overload.
Overwhelmed with finding new artists. Yeah, and other ones could be, there's a billion, right? Midterms, I don't know, finding a job, like all this stuff, and maybe you need music while you do it, right? Habits, they study, they work out, blah, blah. And maybe let's go into one more that I mentioned. What are their needs? What do college students need? We need a job, we need money, a will, a purpose. um,
A lot of college students just need a way to de-stress
Yeah.
because we're always so high strung all the time.
mhm. Okay, so yeah, perfect. So already, right, if you, okay, we're doing this backwards, right? Because obviously if Spotify were kind of a new brand and then they're doing this, maybe this is the first step that they take, right? So they create this and they're like, I want to create this app for a college student that benefits them in some way. You look at this and you're like, okay, they're a college student, that's nice. They study a lot, they work out. Well, how do you feel when you study and you work out, right? You know, they want to listen to music, they need something to distract them, they feel overwhelmed whenever they're trying to find new artists. Like, you see these pain points and already your app and your solution's already shaping. You know what your solution needs to include, right? You need something that helps you find new music easily. You need something that is free, maybe, or cheap. You need something that, you know, doesn't overwhelmingly push somebody to learn and find new music every single day, maybe, right? And a way to de-stress. So music is a great way to de-stress, right? So already you see the solution forming without even finding out what the problem is and without even having to brainstorm a billion cajillion solutions. You already targeted one solution just by choosing a user persona. Cool. Any questions? I should change my screen one more time. Okay, cool. All right, so now that you understand who your user is, let's make a user flow with Whimsical. Okay. Also, actually, let me ask this before, because one of my plans was to do breakout rooms if people wanted to feel more comfortable in smaller rooms just to practice. Like, can I get maybe a thumbs up if people are interested in being in breakout rooms? Because then you guys can practice on Whimsical creating a user persona for somebody on another app. Yeah. No.
Or maybe like a clap if you prefer to stay in the main room and work together.
Yeah, clap if you want to stay in the main room. Okay, so it looks like, okay.
It's like a good split.
Oh, this is good.
Okay,
It's
maybe
starting
more
to
main room.
tie. I think,
It's now 3-2. 3 claps to 2 thumbs up.
okay, let's do stay in the main room. Yeah. Okay, so can you guys see my Figma?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna make a user flow with Whimsical. Okay, and then next we're gonna go into user testing, but let's just go back here. Oh, no, it doesn't go back that way. Okay. So now, okay, another cool thing you can do with Whimsical is create a wireframe really fast and really pretty. Yeah. So let's do did I say user flow? Sorry. Okay. So user flow, again, is different than user web because the web is more complicated. We're just gonna go into one step. So everyone, if you have Instagram, please participate. Let's pretend you want to make a user flow for how do you post a picture on Instagram. Okay, so we're posting a picture on Instagram. So feel free to go on your Instagrams right now, because once you do user flows, you realize how much detail you didn't even realize you missed. It's very complicated to post a picture on Instagram, and you're gonna see why in a second. So I'm just gonna turn this into, okay. All right, so, okay, so what's the first step? I open my app.
Open the app, yeah.
Now what?
I think the button to like initiate a post is on the top right now.
Yeah,
because
they moved
changed
it,
that.
right? Because they're trying to like push you to Reels. So they moved it to like the top,
Yeah.
like the center top right, I guess.
Yeah. And that whole like change is part of the experience. And because they probably did user research into that user and they know that, you know, more users use the bottom section than they do on the top. So that's another example. So you click on the top right to post, right? Now what?
It would
Now
like,
we scroll through and pick a photo.
yeah.
Okay, scroll through and pick a photo. Okay. But it gets a little bit more complicated right here because I can branch off and say, I can take a picture on Instagram. Right? So now you guys are already seeing like it's starting to branch off and it's just one flow. So that's why it's such a huge process of figuring out what the user is going through throughout the app. Okay. So let's see. Let's go follow this one step just to keep it simple. Scroll through and pick a photo. Now what?
I think it would take you to like the editing page now.
Yeah. So editing page.
Yeah, the filter page, yeah. Or
Okay,
the edit,
so-
yeah. I'll
yeah.
also call
So
it
what's
that.
the action here? So we're doing actions, right? So what is the user doing? You're in the user's kind of like
You
mindset where
hit like the blue arrow at the top right, I think.
yeah, the blue arrow, and what does it take? Where does it take you to?
Takes
To
you
the
to like the editing
page.
studio.
Okay, so editing studio. So when we do user flows, the kind of bubble changes depending on what the information is. So let's say this is a page, right? This is the actual interface. So because of that, I'm turning it into a square. Okay, so but all of these right here are all actions. So they're all circles. Okay, a part of the user flow is also what is going on in their mind. So here, going from the editing studio, I might think as a user, do I want to edit a picture? Now from here, I'm like, okay, so this is usually for thoughts is diamonds, by the way. This is industry kind of typical way of doing things. So it's like, yes, and then it's no. So from here, yes, already branches out to more because now I have to show you the steps to edit, right? But I'm just going to simplify it. So no, I don't want to edit the picture. And I also don't like that these are the same color. Let me change this. Give me a second, guys. It's just the design in me, I guess. Okay. So now what? What happens? I don't want to edit it. What do I do now?
I think it's another blue arrow at the top right to get to the like the final page where you're like typing in the description.
Yeah, exactly. So now here I would just go type description. And then it's like, okay, from here, what do I do?
And then the blue arrow turns into a check mark.
Mm-hmm.
So you hit
Yeah,
that
and
to
even,
post.
yeah, exactly. And even before that, I can ask myself, do I want to add a location?
Yeah.
Right? Exactly. So then from
Do you
here,
want to tag anyone?
yeah, do I want to tag anyone? So already so complicated, one step, only one thing we need to do for this process. And bam, obviously these are supposed to be different colors just for safe, you know, just time. I'm gonna say here, and then finally, post. Finally, we did it. Like after this whole process, and I didn't even develop off of the steps, right? So imagine seeing a user web. They're crazy. They're like hectic, right? So as you go through this, it can get even more complex. So this is a very basic user journey, but a lot of the times they put like a bottom section of people's emotions or where are they likely to click off, right? Where is their engagement like lacking? So let's say if I were a person who like loses attention very fast, and that was like Instagram's target user, this would be horrible. Like they would not post. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, look how many steps I have to go through in order to post. If I really wanted somebody to post and that was my main goal, then I would keep it as few steps as possible. And that is why when you guys purchase things online and they want you to purchase, you put in the credit card information first before you put in your coupon or you get the shipping information, because they want you to get that process done first. You guys see what I'm saying? How you can really use users' information and your motivations to really manipulate the interface.
And I think that's also why they they took like Snapchat stories, because that like fulfilled the middle, it like is sort of a much cut down version of this process where you just like choose a photo or take a photo and then just submit.
Yeah, exactly. And also like maybe another example of a really kind of cynical user thing, but I think they took it off of TikTok. But what they used to do in their early iterations was they didn't include the clock, because they knew that they wanted people to keep swiping without knowing how much time has passed. So that's why people love TikTok. It's so easy. They want you to stay on it for so long. That's why all you have to do in order to see another post is just swipe. I don't have to go through this whole thing, right? Just swipe, 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 no time, and I'm just like on it forever. TikTok's great, but yeah, it's hard to get off. So, okay. Anyways, let's move on. Unless anyone has questions, concerns, comments about the state of the industry and how they do this, or just general questions.
I don't have a question,
Okay.
but I was also gonna say that's why Snapchat did the thing too, where like you used to be able to see all of your stuff when you swipe right, like all of your friends' stories, but instead they like appear up
Yeah.
here and then everything else is just
Yeah. It used to be 2 swipes. And that's
advertisements.
used to go like users, like see everyone's story, and then one more to see like the little like news
Discover
thing.
page?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So like now they just keep it all on one page because it's easy
Yep.
now. That's how they get you. Okay. Anyways.
Wait, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So for all of that, that like flow design, that's all assuming that the user uses your app exactly as you intended it, right? Like, how do you
Yeah, so
know that
you
they're
can
going
make,
to?
yeah, so you can make so for whatever process it is, you can make possible avenues. And so like, actually this is perfect question, because how do you know if they're using it the way that you want them to use it? And it's this user testing. So sometimes you can do it like different ways, right? So maybe you can make your user flow and then be like, this is how I want my user to do things. But then when you go through user testing, you're like, oh my God, like they click on and they don't ever post. Like you didn't even get them to click the button. So like that ruins the flow, right? So already that's why you use user testing. It's just to really see if your imaginative user person is doing what you want them to do. Yeah, cool. Okay, so there's many types of user testing. There's like 20 or something, but these are the main ones that people use. Don't overwhelm yourself. It's okay. They use like the same 5. But here's the first. So guerrilla testing. And this one is very popular. You guys might have gone through it yourself, but whenever you walk through campus and then you have like what are they called? I forgot. CalPERG. Yes, CalPERG. Everyone knows CalPERG. And they stop you and then they're like, can you sign this? Like they don't know who you are, right? But they ask you to like sign on and they're like, are you interested? Right. And it's a hit or miss because like half the time people are just like, I really just don't care. Or like the other half, it's like, you guys need to go to class. So, or like some, like maybe 10% are actually interested. So that's the thing with guerrilla testing. Guerrilla testing is very random. You just go to a random place, you ask anybody you see and you say, hey, what's your experience like going outside with COVID? What's your experience like using Spotify? Or you say, here's my app. Can you go through it and I just watch you? Like, you don't know if they're your target user. You just have them use it just to see you got the basic foundations, right? So that's the con. The con is that you don't get that persona, that person you're looking for, that you saw fit. Okay, so the next is unmoderated remote usability testing, which is crazy, but basically it's just have somebody go through your app and you don't tell them anything. You literally just say, here, this is the best thing with COVID too. You literally just give them the application and you say, can you screenshot your screen? And then can you take a picture of yourself? I don't know, with Instagram, right? And then you see what they do, or you don't even say anything. You just say, can you just use my app? And then you just see what they do. How do they explore the interface? Like, are they going to the places that you want them to go to first? Yeah. Or do they look like they're very confused because they just keep clicking everything and they're like figuring things out, but they're not getting anywhere, right? So the issue with this though is that you don't know why. You don't know what they're thinking. As they're doing this, you don't know if they're thinking, oh, I want to click this button because it's like a flashy button and this looks nice, or or if they're clicking this button because they're trying to do something, but they don't know what they're doing. Like they can't find the button, right? Okay. So next is A/B testing, and this is for nitty gritty details. So this is more visual, right? But it's all part of user testing. Let's say right here, if you can look at the picture here. So on the left-hand side, you have a different color, you have more rounded edges spaced out. And on the right-hand side, you have more, tight, compact, square looking kind of interface. So it's like, okay, do you prefer this or do you prefer this? And usually these are for very little details like so. And it's not helpful for like big like things. It's not like, okay, so I want you to listen to a song on Spotify, but you completely rearrange the entire interface. Like that's just not for A/B testing because there's too many elements that you couldn't control for, that you don't know why they're doing this for. Do you see what I'm saying? Let me think. Oh yeah, so another thing with this is that you can also just have them go through it and then you don't even need to hear the explanation, but just screen record and then click. Usually they have like, oh, left-hand side was 70% success. Like they were more likely to buy the product as opposed to the right-hand side. Maybe like this side had a red button saying buy, but the right-hand side had a yellow button saying buy, but the red button seemed more urgent and they felt like they had to buy it. So like they would keep the red button because obviously they want you to buy. Yeah. So any questions so far? I feel like I'm talking like 100 miles per hour. Am I going really fast?
No, you're doing great.
Great. Cool. Sorry for the people like speeding up, like 2 times speed. You probably can't even understand me because I'm like going 2 times speed normally. Okay, cool. Okay. So with user testing, all right, so here are the best practices for you for questions. And the first part is to keep your questions neutral. So the tool here is, the reason why you need to do this is that you don't want to lean them on one side because we as in humans are very emotionally led. So you don't want to be like, I had examples here, but they're not showing up. I'll make sure that they show up when you guys get the copy of the slides. But basically, for example, if I want to say, do you like to drink water or Coke, right? So unless it's like a more general kind of question, like seeing what they like to drink, that won't fit, right? Because now you're just like narrowing them down to a water and Coke, right? As opposed to getting like all the possible answers. So you want to keep it neutral, and a better option is like, what do you like to drink? Another one that I've seen very commonly, it's like, what do you not like about this app? And that's like the only question you ask, instead of asking the other side, which is like, what do you like about about this app? So then it seems like, oh, they really don't like this app, but like, it's not that. You just only ask them that question. Yeah. Okay, so the next is ask about experiences to lessen error in user answers. So whenever you're asking any user anything, remember it's very subjective. It's based on their opinion. So if I, let's say I'm asking like Muthu, right? Sorry, just use an example. But I would ask her, do you like chocolate? And then she's like, no, I don't like chocolate. I'm just too healthy, like, that kind of person. And then you're like, oh, okay, I understand. So now your thought is like, she doesn't like chocolate. Okay. But what if you asked her, how many times did you have chocolate last week? And then she's like, oh, I had five times. And you're like, what? Like you said you didn't like chocolate because it keeps you healthy, but you just had it 5 times last week. So asking them based on their experiences as opposed to their opinion and their feelings will get you a more accurate answer. Yeah. Okay. I need to breathe. That's a lot. It's a lot for me too. Okay, so next is avoid standalone yes or no questions because they really just don't give you that much information. Follow it up with the why. The why is always the reasoning. What are they thinking? That's more important. The reason is just as, if not more important than the decision itself. And just a general rule, I heard this from one of the user researcher at Envision, and he said like his rule for like asking questions is like, what would your mom ask? So your mom wouldn't ask you, oh, like, let me see. She wouldn't ask you like, do you want to help me with, wait, let me see. I'm trying to figure out a good one. Let's see. Yeah, she wouldn't ask you like, do you want ice cream, right? It's more of like, again, it's more on base of experiences because it's like as if you already knew the user, but you want to get information on what they're actually doing. Okay. Yay. Okay, so we made it. Also, here's Kermit because this is not a pain point, I guess. He's happy that we made it. So here's our ACM Design Facebook. Please follow us, check us out because we're pretty cool. And also you can learn more here. So these are websites that go into more depth into user research. And there's one of these are why user research sucks. So, user research is not everything. There's always two sides. So remember to look at both sides. Free tools are Whimsical and Envision. I went into Whimsical right now, it's free. And Envision is more of a prototype app so that you can get people to test out your application and see what they do. But Figma and Adobe XD also do that as well, but just some other applications. Okay. That's it.